Okay, so good evening. Today we're going to show some different resistance training exercises and then an ankle taping using the closed basket weave taping procedure. The first exercise I'm going to show is what is called manually resistance strengthening exercises. My lovely foot model, who's my wife, has decided to allow me to use her right foot as her injured foot. With these first set of exercises, what we're working on is dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and then both lateral eversion and inversion. So what I'm going to have her work on first is dorsiflexion against my hand. So basically, I'm going to have her push into my hand like if it were a gas pedal, and she would be performing 2 sets of 10 each. So she would do that 10 times. Slow it down a little bit. You want to hold it in the dorsiflexion right there for about 3 seconds. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what this is working is it's working the anterior part of the leg here. It's working your tibialis anterior, and it's working your flexors in your foot. Now the next is going to be what is called plantar flexion, and what she's going to do is I'm going to place my foot on top of her, or place my hand on top of her foot like this, and have her pull towards her body. So it's going from a distal to proximal work here. So go ahead and pull towards you. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now what's that is working is these posterior muscles, mostly your gastrocnemius and your soleus muscles. Next we're going to work on inversion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her foot from neutral and move it laterally. And then what I'm going to have her do is move medially against resistance. Go ahead and push towards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the last one we would do is go to eversion, which is we're moving the foot in medially and it's going to be working laterally. And what this is working is we're bringing the foot from neutral again and inverting it towards the midline of her body. Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, go ahead and relax your foot. I'm going to grab the resistance band now. Next up we have what I'm going to use as a resistance band. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this under the bottom of the foot to hold tension. And then have her hold the tension. Okay, now what she's going to do is exactly the same as with the manual resistance, but instead I'm going to have her dorsiflex towards me using the band as resistance. So go ahead and do that. And it's again just like pushing on a gas pedal. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now we'll switch to have it on the outside here, or on the top of the foot, on the anterior portion of the foot. And what she's going to do is she's going to pull against that. Just go ahead and pull. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we'll go to the outside, towards the inside. We'll go lateral to medial. Go ahead. Which is inverting the foot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we'll switch and go on the outside. So what she'll do is she'll pull, I'll pull her foot in medially, and then she will pull laterally in an eversion motion. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. The next exercise that we're going to have her do are just simple calf raises using her body weight as resistance. I'm going to have her go ahead and stand up. Okay. I'm going to reposition the camera here a little bit. So what she's going to do here, come on over here. Okay. Step a little bit closer towards the light. I can move the camera. There we go. Okay, so what she's going to do here is she's going to raise up in a dorsiflexion and stand on her toes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I would have her complete 2 sets of these 3 times a day. The next exercise that we're going to talk about is single leg squats. So in order to have her have a little bit more support for her upper body, I'll have her grab onto the back of the chair and then lift one leg off the ground, her uninjured leg off the ground. So in this case, her left leg, and then squat down slowly and then come back up. Try to go a little bit deeper in your squat, if you can. There you go. And again, this is only 1 set of 10, and it would be done 3 times a day, or 3 times a week. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Okay, and then we would do the double leg squat version where she would stand with her legs shoulder width apart. And then just perform a simple body weight squat. Yep, just like that. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, the last 2 exercises that we have, actually the next one will be, the next one will be a 1 leg hop where she will take her non-injured leg, which in this case is the left leg, and lift that off the ground, and then just hop one-footed up and down. If she doesn't actually hurt herself. Do you want me to hold you? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. All right. The last exercise that the last 2 exercises we're gonna perform involve doing a a swinging leg kick. So what I'm going to have her do is I'm going to have her place this rubber band around her ankle, like so, and face away from me. And I'm going to hold tension, and then she is going to kick her leg anterior to help support the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles and also work on the quadriceps as well. Go ahead and kick. Like that, yeah. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I'm going to pause the video. Well, actually, we're going to work on the taping now. Okay, go ahead and take a seat again. All right, let me move the camera back so we can do the taping really quick. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to pre-wrap around her leg. And with this, I'm starting from the malleolus up to the head of the gastrocnemius here, posteriorly. And I'm going to wrap all the way through until we get to the instep and just right below the head of the fifth metatarsal. So in this case, I'm going to find my edge on my pre-wrap here. It seems to have disappeared. There it is. And the pre-wrap I got was self-adhesive. Couldn't find the other one. One thing that you want to do with all your patients in this is make sure that they are comfortable. And you're going to work proximal to distal on the wrap here. Offering the most support in the ankle. Because obviously if that's been damaged, we're not going to want to damage it more by causing further injury. One thing you can do is, and I didn't do that with this, but you could add, I need you to keep your foot more neutral. You can add a piece of padding back here using a 4x4 gauze, and a piece of padding right here also using a 4x4 gauze. And what that does is it offers a little bit more, or a little bit less of abrasiveness in those areas, because these are the two areas where you're going to see the most work. Okay, go ahead and hand me the tape, actually. We're good on pre-wrap. Now, keeping the foot in a neutral position like so, we're going to start here at our proximal end, right below the gastrocnemius muscle. And I'm going to wrap an anchor point of tape around here. My next anchor point is going to be distally, again right near that fifth metatarsal. Now what we're going to do, and what you want to do during this, is make sure that as you wrap the ankle and as you wrap the tape around, you compress so that way it actually adheres better to the pre-wrap. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add our first stirrup, and that first stirrup is going to go medial and distal, and it's going to end up on the top of our lateral side of our top anchor point. So let's go ahead and get that put on there. Okay, and the next that we have is called a Gurdney strip, and that Gurdney strip is going to go around the back of the ankle, posterior to anterior, and I don't have enough tape with that one. And here's my little assistant Daniel, he's my oldest son. Here you go, bud. The Chewbacca that you hear in the background is my nephew. So first off, we're going to do our first Gurdney strip. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And work it around here. Now, one thing you, like I said, you want to make sure that you compress the tape so it adheres good. It makes for good, strong bondage there. But you also want to make sure that you're not cutting off circulation to the foot in any way. You want to be able to make sure that your patient can move their toes and that you can feel a pedal pulse down here. Because again, the last thing we want to do is cause harm to our patient, since they're already having some kind of harm caused to them. Okay, so for the next two, we just repeat the same steps again, but this time, as you set your stirrups and your gurneys, you set them about 1/2 inch or half of the coverage of the past piece of tape. And you just alternate. You do a stirrup, and then you do a gurney. And again, you work medial, distal, to proximal, and lateral. On your stirrups. And on your gurneys, you go anterior, posterior, to anterior. And again, lateral to medial. Like I said, I'm smoothing the tape out so it offers good, proper adhesion to the pre-wrap. I'm going to check with my patient. Go ahead and wiggle your toes for me. Okay. I feel a good, strong pedal pulse. That's always a good sign. She can wiggle her toes, and the other thing we're going to check is for capillary refill. Her capillary refill is great. Okay, so the next part that we have is what's called a heel lock. And this, you start on the lateral portion. You go down and posterior. Bring it up and around. And this is where having those pieces of 4x4 gauze are very beneficial because, again, like I said, this is offering more support to your patient, more comfort to your patient. So you're going to do 2 of those. So again, we do another heel lock. Okay. Now, as you can see, the foot tends to invert just a little bit. That's okay. But you don't want it to invert too much because then it can cause issues. So, and you want to make sure that it stays in a neutral position, but that your patient still has enough plantar and dorsiflexion so that they're able to support it. All right, so to finish out this wrap, what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of 6 gurney strips, and we're going to work distal to proximal. So, starting at the most distal end, I'm going to place my first gurney strap. And again, you're working, each strap is half the distance of the previous strap. One more time. Okay. And that's a closed basket weave ankle taping technique.